What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're here with some NFL DFS picks and lineup advice for tonight's single game showdown slate. Monday Night Football, Kansas City Chiefs, Las Vegas Raiders. Welcome. I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy, single game $1 million winner. And in this video, like we do every Monday, every Thursday, we talk about the injuries that impact this DFS showdown slate, give you low risk and high risk lineup construction tips, and just some general strategies and thoughts on how we're approaching tonight's slate. Before we get started, make sure you are subscribed to the channel, get notified when we go live, upload these videos. You'll never miss a video. NBA regular season starts next week. We have some big stuff planned for that. So just make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you like the showdown content, give us a thumbs up. Helps the channel, lets us know that we should continue to do these for the rest of the season. Any questions you have, I'll be monitoring the YouTube channel throughout the day. Leave a comment on the video. If you want in-depth answers, you want to chat with our community, join our Discord server, occupyfantasy.com/Discord. So let's get into it. Divisional matchup, Chiefs, Raiders. And we'll talk about, once we get to the high risk section of this show, we'll talk about some trends we've seen so far in this early 2022 season. But as far as injuries go, Juju Smith-Schuster popped up on the injury report, limited in practice on Saturday with a quad/hamstring injury. Said it tightened up on him. They talked to Andy Reid on Saturday after practice. He said he's fine. He thinks he'll be good to go, but it is something to monitor. And again, I'm recording this Monday morning. They do have a chance to call up players from the practice squad this afternoon, so let's monitor that. Maybe that's an indication. And just follow reporters throughout the day to make sure Juju does indeed play. We expect him to have a normal role if he does play, but if he is out for some reason, that obviously changes the slate quite a bit. That means more looks for Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Mecole Hardman, Sky Moore, Justin Watson. All these receivers become underpriced at that point. So let's just monitor throughout the day. We do think he plays, but just keep it in mind. Other than that, really not much else. Harrison Butker remains out. This is now the fourth straight game he'll miss. Matthew Wright will handle the kicks for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then Foster Moreau is very questionable. Didn't practice the first 2 days of the practice week. Did get in a limited session in his last practice. Sounds more doubtful than questionable to us. They didn't really run another tight end last week. Just more 3 wide receiver sets. A little bit more of their fullback, Jakob Johnson. Just keep it in mind. Changes the punt plays a little bit if he is indeed out. Now, let's talk about low-risk lineups. 50-50s, double-ups, head-to-heads. Just got to beat half the field. As you know, you read our showdown guide. Hopefully, if you haven't, check out the description. But we talk about locking up all the scoring, playing values. Who is that tonight? Now, if we try to lock up all the scoring, that means both quarterbacks, both running backs. Now, obviously, Mahomes, Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, who has actually seen an increased role in the passing game in the last couple of weeks, which is great for solidifying his role. It is a New England disciple in Josh McDaniels, so that could change in a heartbeat. But for now, Josh Jacobs looks to have a solid role in this offense. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who, if you've read anything over the past couple of weeks, you probably see that he's overperforming, right? We talk about underperformers all the time, especially at receiver, sometimes at running back. Clyde has been overperforming as far as his touches to touchdown rates go. We saw 3 catches last week, 2 touchdowns, just 7 rushing attempts. Has only eclipsed 10 rushing attempts once, and that was this past week against Tampa Bay. So if he's going to continue to get 8 to 12 touches, maybe like last week he gets 21 touches. Sure. If he gets 21 touches, yeah, he's a great play at 7,400. If he gets 12 touches, not a great play. It has to completely overperform. He's going to come back down to earth. Again, he's overperforming because he's playing well and he's on a great offense. Those are the 2 factors when it comes to overperforming. But to this magnitude, he's going to come down to earth, and at $7,400, not really the safest play. Instead, what I think a lot of people are going to do, and whether they go this route or not, because you got to figure, this makes a low-risk slate very tricky tonight anyways, because anytime we have target hogs, studs, that makes it difficult. Guys like Devontae Adams, who gets a ton of targets, right? 9, 5, only 2 targets, or only 2 catches back in week 2, but we're talking double-digit targets 3 out of 4 games. Travis Kelce, the go-to guy here with Tyreek gone now. We see 8, 7, 9, 10 targets. Right? These guys are tough not to play in low-risk contests because they have a pretty safe floor for the most part, especially on PPR sites like DraftKings. I think what a lot of people are going to do is play Hunter Renfro, who is back tonight, right? He missed a couple of weeks with the concussion. He is back tonight. And if you look, 6 targets back in week 1, 10 targets back in week 2 against Arizona. That's when he suffered the concussion. But he is back tonight. And at just $5,800, I think a lot of people are going to go that way. And he is a preferred value tonight. Going to be one of the most popular non-studs on the entire slate on DraftKings. As far as kickers go, the Chiefs are favored here by a decent margin. Matthew Wright, as a result, will be more popular than Daniel Carlson. despite Carlson being the better kicker overall. So just keep that in mind for high-risk pivots. And then as we scroll down, two other guys that are going to be popular. Jerick McKinnon, yes, his role was reduced last week compared to previous weeks, but still with 3K, gets some snaps around the goal line. He'll be relatively popular, 10% plus, so he's a decent play. And Noah Gray, actually, who got the goal line rush last week on the tight end sneak, but gets targets pretty much every game, gets touches every game, and it's $600 to help you fit in all those studs at the top. I think a lot of people will do that as well. So popular values, Noah Gray, Hunter Renfro, Jerick McKinnon, maybe Matthew Wright, the kicker. Those are the guys that can help fill out the rest of the lineup if you do decide to play low-risk contests. Now, FanDuel, it's a really tough slate for those reasons we mentioned, right? You can play Mahomes, Carr. You try to play both running backs if you want to, just 3K per player. Can't do that. If we had to fade one, it would be CEH because of the overperforming aspect. Just $77.50 per player, but that does require you to fade Devontae Adams, requires you to fade Travis Kelce. Not really the greatest low-risk slate that we can think of. So, all right, let's pivot back to high-risk contests, right? Leagues, GPPs, exponential payouts. You have to beat a lot of people. Large field, small field. A lot of the concepts are similar. Just you're adding more uniqueness, differentiation to your larger contest than you are your smaller contest. Let's go back to DraftKings. Mahomes is going to be the most popular captain. He's going to be the most popular MVP by a wide margin on FanDuel. So if you're looking for instant differentiation, it's not playing Mahomes at MVP. Yes, he's a great play. And the one thing that is tough about Mahomes when it's kind of like Lamar Jackson was last night. Mahomes, because they have so many different pass catchers, right? You have all the receivers, 3 different tight ends, 3 different running backs, even Michael Burton, the fullback sometimes. You're able to put Mahomes at MVP, and even though he's 50% plus at MVP, you can make a bunch of unique lineups or differentiated lineups by playing all the various lower price players that go less than 10%, right? Because most people who play Mahomes end up with similar lineups, but you can play minimum one of these sub 10% guys and have pretty unique lineups. So I think on FanDuel it's much more reasonable to play Mahomes at MVP, go 100%, than it would be if you were doing that on DraftKings, or if it was another slate where targets are really condensed and there's really no trash plays that are going to get there. Kansas City is a unique offense to where that's not necessarily the case, and it makes it more likely. That's a key factor in whether or not you should decide on if I should go all in on an MVP is how many cheaper players that people aren't using can I play to help my lineups get different. All right, the other strategy here tonight is we talked about those popular values. The easy strategy here is pivoting away from those values. So the first one, Hunter Renfro, if we decide to play him, we have to figure out how to get different. Or, and this is a tough price range to get different, we just pivot to the other guys that are around him. Marquez Valdes-Scantling, pretty close to underperforming wide receiver, just missed the list for us this week. Matt Collins, who out of nowhere put up 32 DraftKings points in week 3, but again, 8 targets, 5 targets, can get targets. Again, 8 targets in the game that Hunter Renfro played back in week 2. So, can Hollins outscore Hunter Renfro? Yes, at a fraction of the ownership. Can Marquez Valdes-Scantling? Yes. Pacheco saw his role increase for the Chiefs last week. 11 attempts, not in a blowout. He was mixed in early. They're becoming more confident in his work as a running back, as a pure runner. So, if he gets a touchdown, can he outscore Hunter Renfro? Yes. If he gets more work than expected? Yes. Mecole Hardman, long touchdown? Yes, can outscore him. So lots of ways that these guys outscore Hunter Renfro. Or save salary, play the kickers and defenses, which are surprisingly not as popular as they should have been or as they have been all season. Moose, I think, is going to tweet this out later. You know Moose, he's our co-founder, data guy. Scoring in showdown slates this year is 10% lower than it has been over the past 4 years. Kickers and defenses are more optimal than they have been. A lot of it has to do with the quality of play, and maybe it's just a small sample size. But again, if kickers and defenses are more optimal this year, and only Matthew Wright's going to be popular in this group, you can play Chiefs defense, Carlson, Raiders, even Matthew Wright to an extent, and get a little different by not playing this mid-range. If you don't want to play McKinnon, you can play Sky Moore, who saw his snaps increase last week, saw a career-high 4 targets. The rookie wide receiver, a lot of people were drafting him in dynasty drafts. He can outscore McKinnon easily. And then if we scroll down here, Noah Gray, again, only 3 or 4 targets, maybe, at best, 2-3 targets more realistically. Can any of these other players outscore him? Yes. Jody Fortson caught a touchdown last week. Number 3 tight end, gets a decent amount of snaps, can outscore him. If Hunter Renfro doesn't play a full role, Keelan Cole, we don't think that's the case, but Keelan Cole maybe gets on the field. Horsted, if Foster Moreau is out, he's the number 2 tight end. Different guys can get there. And again, obviously, all of this is flipped if Juju Smith-Schuster is out. So monitor that throughout the day. Our daily plug will capture all this information later today. It'll be published around 2-3 p.m. Eastern. And it has rankings for low-risk, high-risk contests, small field, large field contests, lineup construction tips for different contest types, any injury updates. It's updated automatically. Go check it out. The link's in the description. Again, it's posted this afternoon. Occupy model, rankings, FanDuel, DraftKings, Yahoo, with projected ownership. Very important. That's already up and running. So go check that out, occupyfantasy.com. As is our lineup builder. Build up to 300 lineups. Figure out the best ways to build showdown lineups using our optimal lineup criteria. That's already up and running today, so go check it out. That'll do it for this video. Appreciate you listening. As always, hope it gave you a nice overview of the slate. If you're not subscribed, make sure you are. Get notified. If you play NBA, you're going to want to get notified when all these videos start popping up next week when the regular season starts. Give us a thumbs up. Lets us know to continue to do these videos every single showdown slate. Any questions, comment on the video. I'll monitor it. But more importantly, join our Discord server. We'd love to have you. OccupyFantasy.com/Discord. So, Brian Jester for Occupy Fantasy. Appreciate you listening, and good luck in tonight's Chiefs and Raiders showdown slate.